Howdy folks, welcome back to the channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Today we're going to be talking about Wicked for Good. I got to see it yesterday. This is going to be pretty spoiler free though, because I really enjoyed it and I don't want to like mess anything up for anybody. It officially comes out November 21st. So yeah, let's get into it. Now, if you're anything like me, you kind of went into Wicked Part 1 having never seen the plays or having read the book. But earlier this year, I read I think I read all of the books like within the Wicked series, just to kind of gain some perspective. And then I live here in St. Louis, so I think there's going to be Wicked coming back in December. So I'm going to try to catch a show just to kind of get a different like view of it, hear some different voices, see some different performances, that kind of thing, because I hear it's just a really great show to see. But anyway, walking into part 2, I was just so excited. So the characters are pretty well established. The chemistry is really great. Obviously, if you've seen Wicked Part 1, I think this go around though, some of the differences were kind of subtle, but I think like subtle but noticeable. And I'll tell you what I mean in a second. So I would say subtle in the way that we find our character. So for anyone who doesn't know, at the end of Wicked, we see Elphaba defying gravity and flies off to do her own thing. So she's made a decision to kind of step away for herself, for her principles, and for all of the things that she wants to do, right? We know that Glinda aligns herself with Madame Morrible and the wizard. She's also kind of made her own decision. So at the beginning of Wicked for Good, we see them in their sort of official capacity, right? So now Glinda is quite literally working hand in hand with Madame Morrible. She's got a new bubble to float around in. And unfortunately, Elphaba is kind of on the outskirts, but her activism is pretty full force just from like the beginning of the movie, because we know how much she wants to protect the animals. She believes so much that they are truly a part of Oz. And not to be cliche, but there's no place like home, which is a new song composed by Stephen Schwartz, which I thought Cynthia Erivo did such a beautiful job. Obviously, they're both wonderful singers, but it just was something about how she performed this song that I thought was really, really beautiful. The costuming was really, really great. And again, when I talk about subtlety, I mean little nods to where they are in their lives. So for example, at this point, Elphaba typically like runs around, or not runs around, but flies around with her hair down, because she's quite literally just kind of tired of keeping up appearances. And again, at this point, she's actively fighting against the wizard because she's kind of tired of all of the things going on in Oz. But the costuming by Paul Tazewell, you can kind of see the striations in like the leather pieces and also along her cape that look like tree branches, kind of, because she quite literally lives among the nature. Like, because although she's been exiled, one thing that we know about Elphaba is she really is able to see beauty in everything. With Glinda, the little hint of blue that you see in her costume are more akin to her growth, right? So she did a lot of pink. That's a color she's always loved, even when she was a kid. And the little pops of blue, to me, are a nod to presenting yourself a certain way. Madame Morrible and the wizard they be lying, okay? And we know that, right? So I think that blue is a little bit of a nod to the maturity that they want her to have and the way that they want her to present herself out to the world. Now, obviously, she still loves pink, and pink is fine, but I think that was a really important detail in the costuming. We see Fiyero in his garb, and he has the little, like, I guess, jacket kind of draped off of his shoulder. And even like Madame Morrible, we see her costumes with like a little more sculpture, a little more shape. And I think that those are all just little interesting things that I saw like when I watched. Another really important thing, the singing. Now, if you saw the Wonderful Night special on NBC, you got to see them sing some of the songs live. And I, again, not being familiar with part 2 of Wicked, I already had high expectations anyway, because I think that they both just sound so wonderful, especially when they sing in tandem. But particularly they were both like belting. So like if I'm not a singer, but I know just enough of it and just hearing comments and seeing people talk about this. But there are two songs in particular where Ariana Grande, she's singing from her belt and she's really kind of singing like from her diaphragm in a way that you might not notice, but it's really important to Glinda's story because you can kind of tell that the surface is cracking a little bit. I mean, she is under a lot of pressure. This is something that she thought that she wanted, and she's kind of questioning what her life might have looked like if she had more so aligned herself with one of her dearest friends, Elphaba. And then when we get to No Good Deed Goes Unpunished by Cynthia Erivo, we know her range and we know that it's really powerful. I would almost use the term explosive because the moments in that song, she was really singing from her diaphragm. And I think also that was her, she just was so over it. She felt so defeated. There was a lot of anguish. And I think both of them, as their characters, felt that, like dealing with all the stuff they were going through. But I just thought that those songs in particular were so, so, so beautiful. And then it really said, I think it's one of those things that might be so subtle you might miss it if you're not really listening to it. But just really, really great performances from Cynthia and Ariana. Now, for a good portion of like the first part of For Good, they've parted ways and they've kind of done what they needed to, or started to do what they needed to do individually. So they haven't seen each other. So by the time they do run into each other, at least the first time, it's very sweet. It's very tender. Lots of reminiscing. Because again, the friendship is so real. Like it's not just like an Instagram buddy. Like they were truly, they really were sisters. And I think that especially with, if you think about it, Glinda is an only child, right? And even though Elphaba has like a blood sister, like a half sister, Glinda was probably more of a sister to Elphaba than Nessa Rose ever was, and Elphaba definitely was a true sister to Glinda. So it's a lot of genuine love there, and they're really, really happy to see each other, even though they know that the choices that they've both made have kind of led them down different paths. So I thought that was just a really beautiful to see. The scenes were just like all emotional and like warm and fuzzy, but not in a corny way, but like warm and fuzzy in a good way. Jonathan Bailey did a fantastic job as Fiyero, really tormented. He gets to a space too where he feels truly that there's no other thing to do but the right thing, and we later see how that's going to affect him. Bach also wants to do the right thing. He wants to just follow his heart, as we all should be able to do. But what's the cost of following your heart, right? I think that the wizard is the wizard. He's a coward, as we know. He's a charlatan, as we know. He'll try to get over on you the first chance he gets. So we see what that looks like for him. And also Madame Morrible. Madame Morrible, I would say, is the best at keeping a facade and pretending to be something that she's not, or not being something that she really is, if that makes sense. But Michelle Yeoh and Jeff Goldblum, respectively, just did such a fantastic job individually, but also there were little moments where they have scenes together, and the way they interact with each other is just so messed up, but in a way that's really interesting and helps to push the story forward. Nessa Rose is also kind of in her full force now. She's also kind of made some decisions. There's animosity between she and Elphaba, and we see how that plays out. And also, again, if you've read Wicked, and also if you've read The Wizard of Oz, it clearly lives within that universe. But I don't want to give too much away. The ending I actually thought was really interesting. A little bit further into the film, though, they run into each other again, but this time the the love is kind of gone, right? The lawns have been clearly drawn in the sand. If you know, you know. if you don't know, I'll tell you probably tomorrow in my other review. But um, there's just something about the second time that they meet that is a polar opposite to the last time that they were able to kind of see each other and hug. And this second meeting, it's just the tension is so high, the tension is so palpable. Certain things take place, and there's just so much deceit and so much betrayal, and it kind of gets to a point where they're questioning what what did I do? Like, what has this decision done to me? Why am I not able to just live openly and honestly, or at least, for one of them, and for the other, why is it that I can't speak up for those who can't speak up for themselves? And why can't it be respected? So that second meeting was really important and also kind of funny. And then they have another meeting toward the end of the film. Again, I hope this isn't like a huge spoiler, but they do sing for good, which again was such a beautiful performance. And that was where we take the tenderness from the first time that they met in this movie, or reconnected, excuse me, the next time that they saw each other. So we take the tenderness and we take the turmoil, and I think they really put it into the song. I will say that I think that interaction toward the end of the film was kind of akin to how they interacted with one another at the Asda's Bowl, or at least just to me, like the emotions that were there. It felt like the animosity had been mostly dissolved, because they had to truly sit with not only the decisions that they made for themselves, but they had to sit with the decisions that the other one kind of made for themselves, if that makes sense. So it just was really, really, it was really great. And I can't wait until the album is released on Apple Music so I can learn all the words to the songs, because I don't know any of them yet, but whatever.